And at this point, I think my opponent is like, oh man, I just got I just got rolled by a Munkidori. So now we're in Top Cut. And spoiler alert, I did lose to this player in Swiss, and now we're playing in Top Cut. So I didn't bring my Munkidori at all in the last match. The Munkidori was kind of a flex slot on this team. I just kind of put it there because it checked all the boxes that I wanted on the team, but I haven't used it. But now this person rolled me really bad. I'm like, okay, I got to change something up. So I'm bringing my fake out. Their Grimmsnarl got too much ground. I'm like, okay, they're not gonna terrestrialize their Grimmsnarl. They're not gonna see the screens as a useful resource in here. So we're going to show you what Munkidori can do. We went straight for the fake out and the overheat into the Grimmsnarl. If they don't terrestrialize, then they will be knocked out. We get a toxic chain poison, which is pretty cool. Not necessary, but you know, we'll take it. They get big acrobatics. Now, if you were paying attention, this Roaring Moon had attack booster energy. So we see if they terrestrialize into flying, that would have knocked out our Chi-Yu. But we're bulky enough to live just the regular one. Again, they don't want to commit terrestrialization. Now their Grimmsnarl is gone. They do not get screens for this match. They gave me such a problem in our match in Swiss that I was just like, if I can deny them, I'm going to deny them. Munkidori, you know, let's go. You showed that you're worthwhile. And now they send out an Entei. Now this is a choice band Entei. They could go for an extreme speed into our Chi-Yu. We could Terra Ghost if we wanted to get cheeky, but I don't think there's any reason. I don't think there's any reason to try to preserve my Chi-Yu at this point. I'm going to let them extreme speed me. That means they're locked into extreme speed. So I go ahead and double up into the Entei with both Sludge Bomb to give myself even more chances to poison them, and we get the Sludge Bomb poison instead of the Toxic Chain poison here. So Munkidori, Beads of Ruin Sludge Bomb does a lot of damage. They knock off my Focus Sash. Speed tiers, Munkidori's the fastest, Roaring Moon, and now my Chi-Yu. So we gained some information about their Entei. We know that we are faster on our Chi-Yu. Our Chi-Yu is not max speed, so their Entei definitely could have outsped us if they were trained in speed. And now we see their last Pokemon is the Okidogi. I'm just going to go ahead and fire off a super effective Psychic into that. Again, they could Terra Water here, but then I'm forcing the Terra, and then my Raging Bolt in the back can clean up. I decide to go for the Overheat for a little chip damage into the Roaring Moon to put them range of potentially my Freeze Dry from my Iron Bundle in the back. If, again, they can only commit terrestrialization to one of these Pokemon. And at this point, I think my opponent is like, oh man, I just got I just got rolled by a Munkidori. Who's the loyalist one now? Yeah, Munkidori taking out Okidogi. So they knock off my Chi-Yu. They will be able to get a little information of what I have in the back. But if we play this correctly, we will be able to hide one of the Pokemon that we brought. So I decide Raging Bolt is the better Pokemon to reveal. I think it's my bulkiest Pokemon. It's a Raging Bolt. It can kind of wall the Roaring Moon, trade 1-for-1. However, this knockoff does do a lot of damage. So yeah, I go for my Sludge Bomb and my Draco Meteor. I can knock this Roaring Moon out. And then we'll go into game 2 with a win against the person who I couldn't even touch in Switch. In Switch. We're playing on the Nintendo Switch. In Swiss of this tournament. So getting a win in my first game in Top Cut, giving me a lot of confidence. I'm speaking preemptively, but again, there are many ways to win this game. Sludge Bomb's 100% accurate. Freeze Dry in the back is 100% accurate. If I hit my Draco Meteor here, then it's just GG's right away. Yo, how's it going, Jacob's Lit Stuff? Yep, Munkidori for the win. And a Pokemon that I was like, this doesn't even belong on the team. I just don't know what I want. And I'm looking for a Psychic type and a Poison type. And oh, it's Psychic Poison. Let's go. He gets Fake Out. He gets Taunt. It's super cool. Okay, so big win. So now I'm thinking, okay, my opponent isn't going to just let me do that again. Now, this is a dangerous thing. When you get a game 1 win that is pretty dominant, like our opponent couldn't do much there. We got everything correct. Our speed tiers were good, but it's like, okay, if they terrastalize their Grimmsnarl on turn 1, like if they just did that, it gets a lot harder for me because they get the screens up. And so I'm like, okay, they're not just gonna let me Fake Out Overheat the Grimmsnarl this time, but I do still want to put that pressure on them that I could. Does that make sense? I want to delay I want to deny the screens if possible, or force them to burn their resources to use screens. Because if I can make the Grimmsnarl terrastalize, then I don't have to worry about the Okidogi terrastalizing or the Acrobatics Terraflying Roaring Moon doing too much damage to my Chi-Yu. So this is part of the dangers, is I know they're going to adjust, and I can get a little carried away in how I adjust in my gameplay. Let's say, for example, let's say I decide that they are going to Terra Ghost their Grimmsnarl, and I go for a Dark Pulse into it, and it doesn't terrastalize. Now I've used a Dark Pulse against a Fairy Dark type, you know? So it gets a little tricky. I'm trying to think of how my opponent will adjust. Again, because they beat me in Swiss, I am a little more accustomed to, well, we've gained 3 games of information so far about how each other play and what we like to do and what our game plans are. They weren't doing this Grimmsnarl Roaring Moon lead to me in Swiss. However, they are doing it to me now in game 1 of Top Cut. So I'm like, and I beat them pretty handedly. So are they even going to try that again? You know? So I think there's a good chance they switch it up here. And there's a good chance they do something weird, trying not to let me do what I did last time. However, they don't switch up their leads. They leave the Grimmsnarl and the Roaring Moon in the lead. We've got our Beads of Ruin. The Toxic Chain poisons are super cool when they happen. 30%, that's pretty good. So here I do something crazy. You see me I'm in team preview. I'm like, they're gonna terrastalize their Grimmsnarl. They want their screen so bad. I'm just gonna Dark Pulse it. So I go for the Fake Out into the Roaring Moon, and I Dark Pulse the Grimmsnarl. Again, making really bold calls. This can go south for me really quickly. I'm kind of banking on the fact that I beat them so hard in game 1 that they're gonna do something weird in game 2. Let's see if it can pay off. Sorry, I keep moving my mouse, and it's bringing up the Windows Media Player. My opponent taking their time, really thinking, is he going to Fake Out Overheat me? We see a switch, so no terrastalization, but a switch into Okidogi. So this gets a little crazy. We don't get a Toxic Chain poison here. Now we're locked into a Dark move against 2 Pokemon that resist Dark. And you can see, okay, well, now they don't have a screen, so Psychic we saw in the last game, Psychic easily knocks out Okidogi. So they have to terrastalize, or I think, because I'm locked into a Dark move, if I go for Psychic and Dark into that slot, their Grimmsnarl can switch in. So I make another really bold call. And I switch in my Raging Bolt for my Chi-Yu. In case they terrastalize to water, I want to now have electric pressure on it the next turn. So I swap my Chi-Yu out to Raging Bolt for that, but I went for a Sludge Bomb. I over-predict a little here. I tried to play safe. They're going to Terra. or they're going to switch to Grimmsnarl. That's my thought process. They have to do one of those to not lose their Okie Dokie, but they don't do anything. So I've sludge bombed them. I lose my Focus Sash, and now I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Why am I playing like this? I'm making really bold calls, and now I've lost my Munkidori, which pulled so much weight in game 1. So now my opponent's really in my head. Now I've lost a good way to get this Okie Dokie off the field. They still have a Grimmsnarl in the back. They could put up a screen. I've got all these special attackers, and I am in trouble. Unless I can start, getting really big damage going. Okay, so here, I do it again. I'm like, okay, what is my opponent going to do? They're going to Terra Flying Acrobatics, because that's what can knock my Chi-Yu out. And my Chi-Yu is what's going to win me the game here. So I go for a Terra Electric Thunderclap, calling that they're going to Terra Flying their Roaring Moon. And I'm definitely on the back foot, like I said. So I'm making really, really crazy plays right now, just hoping to get one of them right to take the battle. But they just do a safe protect, swap into their Grimmsnarl. They're going to get an easy screen up. They didn't terrastalize needlessly. And now I'm like, oh, this is terrible. So now I'm like, okay, is there any way that I can win this? He gets up a light screen. Maybe they go for a knockoff into my Raging Bolt. I put them in range of an Icy Wind. It's tough. So I swap my Chi-Yu out to Iron Bundle. I'm trying to just get everything in range of where I can Heat Wave everything in the end game and try to win that. And I'm thinking they're gonna knock off my Raging Bolt here. I also want to bait them to go for Thunder Wave into my Iron Bundle next turn, so I can get some more damage and get that Grimmsnarl off the field. And now they terrastalize. I can't get a turn right against them this game. Now they've terrastalized. They're going for the acrobatics. They're like, you're not gonna Terra Electric Thunderclap me twice in a row. And I don't. I don't. I go for the Draco Meteor. So, I played a little bold in game 1 and rolled them. They're playing a little bold in game 2 and they're rolling me again. And now I'm like, okay, the Protect on Iron Bundle is obvious, right? Because they want a Thunder Wave. I don't want them to Thunder Wave. So I decide I'm going to go even harder. You're going to protect your Roaring Moon here. And so I double into their Grimmsnarl. Again, I'm trying to make any plays to get back into this. And they protected. So I get my Freeze Dry into the Grimmsnarl. They didn't Thunder Wave me, so they were going for a Spirit Break on this turn. And we knock out their Grimmsnarl. So we're back in it. I mean, are we really back in it? But we're back in it. Again, we might have to make some bold calls, but I think we can do this. So they send out the Okie Dokie. I'm like, okay, I can get an Icy Wind, Thunderbolt. Hopefully I outspeed their Roaring Moon. The problem is Roaring Moon is naturally very fast, and I haven't trained my Raging Bolt very fast at all. So even with an Icy Wind drop, if they're, if they're pretty fast, then I'm not going to outspeed them. But because they're attack booster, I'm like, okay, maybe they tried to go really bulky, and I have just enough juice to outspeed them. And again, I'm going for any win condition at this point because I'm on the back foot so hard. So I'm like, okay, Icy Wind, Thunderbolt. If I outspeed, then my opponent only gets one attack off this turn. and I can potentially win the end game. But they're faster than me. They get the knockoff into my Raging Bolt. It does so much damage. So much damage. Roaring Moon is a beast. But we do get the knockout. However, that means that now we're in range of an Okie Dokie attack. Again, we really needed to outspeed there to have a chance. Now Drain Punch is going to knock... It doesn't knock me out. We're living. We're still in this. But we're at, 2 HP. If they have Entei in the back, we're in range of extreme speed on both of my Pokemon. However, it is technically my 3 Pokemon versus their 2 Pokemon. And if I get a big turn right, then, we could be in business. Now, I think my win condition here, if I knew they were going to extreme speed the Raging Bolt, I needed to switch it into my Chi-Yu to get the Beads of Rune active to allow this Hydro Pump to knock out Entei. However, behind the light screen without the Beads of Rune, it didn't knock out. So again, I've been talking a lot this whole time about, I'm out of it. I'm on the back foot. But that was a legitimate win condition. Like if I swapped in Chi-Yu there, then I have my Raging Bolt Chi-Yu against the Okie Dokie in the end game, and I can win that easily if I hit an overheat. So not guaranteed, but I was just really in my head and already kind of counted myself out. And it's a very bad habit. I got really dejected when I was like, I Dark Pulsed the Grimmsnarl and they didn't Terrastalize. And I got like the first 3 turns of this game wrong. So I was like, I'm out of it. And it made me not think properly for my actual win conditions. So now I'm like, okay, maybe Heat Wave, I get a burn on Okie Dokie, and maybe that allows me enough HP to survive, but I don't get the burn. I don't think I would live the Drain Punch anyway. My opponent takes game 2. So we're going into a game 3 against this extremely difficult, extremely weird matchup where I'm actually bringing my Munkidori, where I haven't brought it a single game in my entire lifespan of using this team, right? So, game 3. Neither of us has changed up our leads from this set. So I am saying, okay, I guess they feel really good about this. What can I do to play a bit better, not take as many massive risks? Again, I think my lead puts on a lot of pressure of I could fake out overheat. And we saw how easily it won me game 1, and we saw how not doing it made game 2 very difficult. Now, here I'm trying to decide if Annihilate is a good Pokemon to bring, because it can technically just, delete anything with a Final Gambit. And then I don't have to worry about how this Roaring Moon has been doing against my Raging Bolt, but I do decide in the long run, if I end up really weak to a Terra Water Okie Dokie behind a screen, if I don't bring my Raging Bolt. So I opted not to bring my Annihilate for that reason. Now let's see if I can pull it off. Again, top cut of this tournament. A team that I've already lost to in the tournament, but we've shown that we can do some wild things. We both lead the same Pokemon. We know that Fake Out Overheat knocks out that Grimmsnarl. They know that Fake Out Overheat knocks out that Grimmsnarl and it denies screens. So I decide to go for a mid-ground play. I fake out the Roaring Moon, and I know if they do Terrastalize, they're going to go straight for a light screen. At this point, I've accepted that I'm just going to have to fight through the screens. The Roaring Moon has already consumed its booster energy, so if I fake it out here, then I can Draco Meteor it next turn, especially if they commit Terrestrialization on the Grimmsnarl. So I think I found a play that I feel good about, that doesn't, risk too much. It isn't calling too much of what my opponent will or won't do. It's just kind of a safe all-around play. I could get a Toxic Chain Poison on the Roaring Moon. Again, with these screen teams, the poison actually is really beneficial to whittle away at them because you can't do quite enough damage through the screens. So we switch in our Raging Bolt. We see an immediate terrestrialization from our opponent. They do decide that the screen is worth getting, and they want to deny my Fake Out Overheat play. I think this is great. Now we've put Chi-Yu in the back. We can knock out the Grimmsnarl with a Dark move at some point if we need to. So again, I feel good about this. Yes, it's going to be hard to get through their team. But I do have I do have some of their resources burned, and we can play this slow game. Now I can Draco Meteor their Roaring Moon, so I go for that. I go for a Psychic into the Grimmsnarl. It's my strongest move. I don't want to give them a switch into Okidogi, and we get a Toxic Chain Poison. This is really good for us. They go for a knockoff into our Raging Bolt. Again, does massive damage, but because we positioned our Raging Bolt here on turn 2, we don't get knocked out from an Okidogi this turn, but we do get knocked out from the Spirit Break, so it was fine to not commit my terrestrialization there. Unfortunately, the Roaring Moon barely hangs on, and it makes my next, I'm thinking my Chi-Yu is really important. I want to keep my health on that, but the bad thing is, my Chi-Yu is the only thing that is immune to a Thunder Wave from that Grimmsnarl. So here I'm like, okay, you can only Thunder Wave one of my Pokemon, right? So both of them outspeed Roaring Moon. So if I double attack into the Roaring Moon, then it will get knocked out. But they could protect it. But, if I try to protect and they go for a Thunder Wave into my Munkidori, I'm like, I really want my speed on the Munkidori, because then I can outspeed the Okidogi, and they've used terrestrialization on their Grimmsnarl, so they are going to take massive damage from a Psychic. Granted, they have screens up, so they can barely survive with their Assault Vest, but they go for the Protect. I'm still fine with this play, and they miss a Thunder Wave, so honestly, I could have been punished harder, but I wasn't. So we get an Icy Wind, a little chip damage into that Grimmsnarl. Again, with the poison at the end of the turn, it's going to be in range of getting knocked out next turn. So this is not bad. I can totally win this game. Yep, Toxic Chain Poison. So now now at the end of this turn, Grimmsnarl will be knocked out. So here I'm like, okay, I really need my speed on my Munkidori. That's how I beat Okidogi in the end game. I'm okay getting Thunder Waved on my Iron Bundle here, but I really think that they're going to Thunder Wave my Okidogi, because that's what beats, or sorry, they're going to Thunder Wave my Munkidori because that's what beats Okidogi. But whatever it is, they called my play. They went for the Thunder Wave into Iron Bundle, so they do get some massive damage with that knockoff. Unfortunately, I should have just gone for that same double up play to preserve my health on my Chi-Yu, because now things are getting dicey, and I miss my Icy Wind on the Roaring Moon. So now neither of my Pokemon outspeed it. Now it can knock out both of them. 95% accurate, missed my Icy Wind. So I was in a really commanding position, and now I'm starting to see, uh-oh, it's slipping away. Now I can only get one attack off this turn. And, I mean, maybe I could try to protect my Iron Bundle. Now, I haven't committed Terrestrialization, and I'm like, okay, I need the Beads of Ruin to knock out that Entei with the Hydro Pump. However, I can also Terra Water my Iron Bundle and get the same result. So I decide, okay, I'm just going to let Chi-Yu go down. I need my Focus Sash on my Munkidori in the end game. That will allow me to knock out either Roaring Moon or get Okidogi down to super low HP As long as I don't get fully paralyzed, I can win this game. So I go for a Snarl. If they don't attack Chiyu for some reason, then it will knock out Roaring Moon, and I'm in that same boat. Okidogi can win the game. So I go for my Terra Water Hydro Pump into the Entei. This will knock it out, even if they knock my Chiyu out before it goes down. However, it means that I won't be able to knock the Okidogi out in one hit with a Terra Stellar Psychic. But then the Entei would have had enough health to extreme speed me or whatever. So I get through the paralysis, I hit my Hydro Pump. So this is how I win the game. And so here their Okidogi comes in. I know that they will survive just barely the Psychic quadruple effective because of the screen, because of the Assault Vest. I've ran the damage calc. I know that they're going to live. So I see my best way to win here is if I fake out the Okidogi and they don't protect Roaring Moon, then I can get this Icy Wind off and win the game. If they attack into Okidogi, then I still have my Focus Sash intact. Or if they attack Iron Bundle, I still have my Focus Sash intact to clean up the end game because I'm faster than the Okidogi. And if they go for my Munkidori here, break my Focus Sash, then my Iron Bundle can win the game for me by hitting this Icy Wind. So here we see it. They didn't protect Roaring Moon. We faked out their Okidogi. They take us down to Focus Sash, but Iron Bundle gets fully paralyzed. And that's going to be how we lose the game. We go for the Psychic. If we can get a critical hit, we can still win the game. Because they can only knock out one of my Pokemon at a time here. Or if we get a critical hit, Icy Wind. So now a critical hit is the only way I get back into the game because of the full paralysis. So unfortunate that it came so close, and that's that's what's gonna make or break the game for us. So here we go. We got to get a crit to win this top cut match and proceed to try to win the tournament. It all comes down to this. Psychic, we're faster than the Okidogi. We don't knock them out. They go knock us out with the Acrobatics. And unless we get a critical hit Icy Wind here on the Okidogi, we connect. Can we get a critical hit? We don't. So we do end up losing this game in Top Cut. Super close. Very well played. Very cool team from our opponent. But I was really proud of how Munkidori showed off in this set. Like, it looked phenomenal. Again, even though I got destroyed in Swiss by this team without using Munkidori, Munkidori gave me so many chances to win. So I wanted to share that game with you, that set with you guys. Really proud of how I played overall.